I wanted to just maybe share just a few words in kind of a reaction to the Torah portion. You know, listening to this dreadful story again, I am moved particularly this year um, to think of Sarah. Really, I mean, you know, the story of the binding of Isaac is just a few verses away from the end of this particular Torah portion. And the next one begins with the death of Sarah, in fact. And the rabbis of the Midrash, of course, immediately draw some direct lines between Isaac's near sacrifice and his mother's death. One story speaks of the Satan, which we understand as Satan, but really in Hebrew, the Satan is really not the evil being of Christian lore, but the word itself, the Satan, means the provoker, the inciter, the agitator. And so the Satan comes to Sarah and asks, "Did you hear what happened in the world?" And when she responds that she hasn't, he tells her that Abraham took Isaac, his son, and slaughtered him, offering him up on the altar as a sacrifice. And the Midrash says so beautifully, Sarah begins to cry and moan, the sound of three wells, which correspond to the three shvarim, the broken blasts of the shofar. And her soul burst forth from her, and she died. So, short of the dying part of that beautiful midrash, I feel that we are Sarah this year. We too have experienced great loss, and we too are grieving that loss. But if Sarah hadn't died in the midrash, I imagine her touched by grief's core, knowing that for the rest of her life she would live with her hands reaching for things that are no longer there, just like us. I see her trying to busy herself with superficial cares and concerns, afraid of thinking too deeply thoughts that would really defeat her, unravel her. Not just because of the swelling of pain, but because of the overwhelming nihilism that might come with those thoughts. Just like us. I feel her anger. That anger so deep that it sometimes scares us. I feel her fear, maybe even her shame. I see her both enraged and scared at the same time. Just like us. I imagine her afraid of going to sleep and waking up, afraid of tomorrow and of tomorrow after that and all the tomorrows after that. Kind of like us. And then I picture her torturing herself, thinking of all the things that could have happened, all the ways that the world could have been different, could have been reshaped. Just like us. I I imagine her denial, her refusal to look reality in the eye, the urge overtaking her to run, to hide, just like us, just like us. But running, we must not. And hiding, we just cannot. Loss is all around us. The loss of a loved one, an acquaintance or a colleague, but also loss of income, loss of simply the ability of movement, the loss of human contact, the loss of normalcy, the loss of predictability. Like I said before, the loss of life's ritual and all their arranging rhythmic patterns that are so important to us. Loss of that, like I said, the scaffolding of everyday habits and routines that we used to have, the loss of all of our support systems, the loss of trust, loss of meaning. The cascade of news and events that have befallen us up until the hours before Rosh Hashanah last night is like a vicious uprooting. We have been yanked away from the world we have known. The layers of loss have made life feel paper thin. Yet there is nothing wrong with all these losses, and we're all experiencing them together. The power of grief is in transforming in and digesting that loss. Loss in itself isn't good or bad, and for sure it isn't punishment. It just is. And grief, that grief we feel, is the natural, proper, appropriate, and most powerful response to it. Grief is a core human emotion, a natural part of being human. So in this sacred space, in this safe space, on these high holy days, when this work of introspection is asked of us, we are invited to let the grief sink in and to pour out of us the pain and the sadness that we feel. And sitting with that pain and sorrow in meditation, without suppressing it, without denying it, without trying to explain it away or trying to run away from it, we take the pain as it is given. And we sit with the fire of its presence. We acknowledge it and we engage it. This is a process. It unfolds in stages, and we know that. And this is a transformative process that really, truly will reshape us until we come to a place of acceptance. But that's not what concerns us now. Who we might be at the end of this process isn't our problem. And it is certainly not our problem now. Now we must sit and spend time with our grief and with the brokenness of our loss. Not to fix it. Not to fix it. Because it cannot be fixed. But as a way to walk toward it. To push through it. this process itself will cleanse and heal us. It will free us. It will liberate us. It will allow us to breathe again. And the truth is, it doesn't matter if you want to be changed or not, because you are already changed. And why is this so important? Because loss, when grieved properly, can become a source of guidance and wisdom and truly transform us. And this is the work of kapara, that word that gives us Yom Kippur, kapara. Kapara means spiritual catharsis. And it is a process, an invitation into searing self-transformation. Someone once said, often from our deepest wound comes our most beautiful gift to the world. Often from our deepest wound come our most beautiful gift to the world. May this be what each and every one of us bring to this year about to be. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Amen.